Black Friday brings out the absolute worst in human decision-making, turning rational adults into deal-hunting zombies who will buy literally anything if the price is slashed enough. These shoppers proved that when something is 70% off, logic goes 100% out the window. One woman bought 847 rubber ducks because they were marked down from $2 to 50 cents each, convincing herself that rubber ducks were a practical investment that she would definitely find uses for eventually. She spent 4 hours in line and $423.50 on nearly 1,000 yellow bath toys, filling her entire SUV with boxes of identical ducks that squeaked every time she hit a bump driving home. 6 months later, her garage was still full of rubber ducks that she had been trying to give away to anyone who would take them, including posting desperate ads on social media offering free rubber ducks, no questions asked. She finally donated 800 of them to a children's hospital, keeping 47 for herself because she had become emotionally attached to the idea that someday she might need dozens of rubber ducks for an emergency that required bulk bath toy deployment. 2. A man purchased a $3,000 treadmill marked down to $800 specifically for his overweight cat, convinced that his 20-pound tabby needed structured exercise equipment to lose weight, and that a pet treadmill would solve his cat's obesity problem better than diet changes. He spent 2 days assembling the machine in his living room and another week trying to train his cat to use it, discovering that cats have absolutely no interest in voluntary exercise equipment and will actively avoid walking on moving belts. The treadmill became the world's most expensive cat bed, with his pet using it exclusively for napping while continuing to gain weight from the same diet that caused the original problem. He eventually started using the treadmill himself, realizing he had accidentally purchased exercise equipment that he actually needed more than his cat did. 3. One shopper bought 200 pounds of expired protein powder marked down 90% because she calculated that even expired supplements were cheaper per pound than regular food, not considering that expired protein powder tastes terrible and might not be safe for consumption. She filled her car trunk with 45-pound containers of chocolate protein powder that had been sitting in a warehouse for 3 years past its expiration date, assuming that protein supplements were like canned goods that remained edible indefinitely. When she tried to make a protein shake, she discovered that expired powder had developed a texture like concrete mix and a smell that could clear a room, making it completely unusable for its intended purpose. She ended up using the protein powder as expensive fertilizer for her garden, where it actually helped her tomatoes grow larger than ever before, proving that expired supplements work better for plants than humans. 4. A couple purchased 47 space heaters during a buy one, get one free sale because they thought having multiple heating units would allow them to turn down their central heating and save money on utility bills, not realizing that running 47 electric heaters would cost more than heating their entire house normally. They strategically placed space heaters in every room, closet, and hallway, creating a complex heating system that required extension cords snaking throughout their house, like an electrical spiderweb that frequently tripped circuit breakers. Their first electric bill after installing the space heater network was $847, compared to their usual $200 heating bill, and they discovered that their cost-saving heating strategy had actually created the most expensive way possible to heat a 1,200 square foot house. They returned 45 of the heaters and used the remaining 2 in their garage, finally achieving the energy savings they had originally imagined. 5. One woman bought 12 wedding dresses marked down from $1,500 to $200 each because she thought discounted bridal gowns were good investments that would appreciate in value over time, despite being happily married for 15 years and having no daughters who might eventually need wedding dresses. She purchased dresses in various sizes and styles, convinced that wedding dress resale was a lucrative business opportunity that she could pursue from her spare bedroom. After storing the dresses for 2 years and failing to sell a single gown online, she realized that wedding dress resale required fashion expertise, marketing skills, and storage capabilities that she didn't possess. She eventually donated all 12 dresses to a charity that provides wedding gowns to low-income brides, finally finding a use for her investment that made her feel better about buying a dozen wedding dresses she never needed. 6. A man purchased 500 garden gnomes marked down 75% because he calculated that lawn ornaments were recession-proof investments that would maintain their value better than stocks or bonds, not considering that 500 gnomes would transform his yard into a creepy miniature village that terrified neighbors and delivery drivers. He spent weeks arranging the gnomes throughout his landscaping, creating elaborate scenes and storylines for his ceramic army, while his wife threatened divorce if he didn't reduce the gnome population. His homeowners association cited him for creating a public nuisance with his gnome village, and property values in his neighborhood actually decreased because potential buyers were afraid of the house with hundreds of staring ceramic figures. He finally sold most of the gnomes at a garage sale for $2 each, learning that lawn ornament investing was not the stable financial strategy he had imagined. 7. One shopper bought 83 toilet plungers because they were marked down to $3 each, and she reasoned that plungers were essential household items that everyone eventually needs, making them perfect for emergency preparedness and gift-giving to friends and family members. She filled her basement with boxes of identical red rubber plungers, imagining scenarios where she would be the neighborhood hero during plumbing emergencies, or where grateful friends would appreciate receiving practical household tools as birthday presents. After attempting to give plungers as housewarming gifts and discovering that most people found toilet equipment to be inappropriate presents, she realized that plunger demand was much more limited than she had assumed. She kept 5 plungers for her own use and donated the remaining 78 to a home improvement charity, finally understanding that some household items should not be purchased in bulk, regardless of discount pricing. 8. A couple purchased a $15,000 hot tub marked down to $4,000 for their apartment balcony, not considering that their third-floor rental unit couldn't support the weight of a water-filled spa, or that they would need electrical and plumbing modifications that their landlord would never approve. They spent $800 having the hot tub delivered and another $1,200 trying to figure out how to install it, before realizing that apartment hot tubs require structural engineering assessments and utility upgrades that cost more than the spa itself. The hot tub sat empty on their balcony for 8 months, serving as the world's most expensive storage container for bicycles and garden supplies, until they moved and had to pay $600 to have it removed. They learned that some Black Friday deals are too good to be true because the products require infrastructure that doesn't exist in normal living situations. 9. One woman bought 156 picture frames in 47 different sizes because they were 80% off, and she thought having lots of frames would motivate her to print and display the thousands of digital photos stored on her phone and computer. She envisioned creating elaborate photo galleries throughout her house, finally organizing years of family memories into beautiful displays that would make her home feel more personal and welcoming. After purchasing the frames, she realized that printing 156 photos would cost more than the frames themselves, and that she didn't actually want to display most of her digital pictures because they were blurry, unflattering, or documented events she preferred to forget. Most of the frames remained empty in her closet, occasionally used to frame children's artwork or important documents, proving that having frames doesn't automatically create motivation to organize photo collections. 10. A man purchased 23 exercise bikes, marked down from $400 to $75 each, because he calculated that he could resell them for profit or create a home gym that would eliminate his need for expensive fitness club memberships. He filled his garage with stationary bikes, imagining himself becoming a fitness equipment entrepreneur while getting in the best shape of his life using his personal bicycle collection. After failing to sell any bikes online and discovering that exercising alone in a garage full of stationary bicycles was depressing rather than motivating, he realized that his fitness equipment empire was actually just an expensive obstacle course that prevented him from parking his car. He eventually sold the bikes at a significant loss, learning that exercise equipment resale requires marketing skills, and that motivation can't be purchased in bulk even at discount prices. 11. One shopper bought 89 slow cookers because they were marked down to $12 each, and she thought having multiple cooking appliances would allow her to meal prep more efficiently and save money on food costs by cooking large quantities of ingredients simultaneously. She imagined operating a slow cooker assembly line in her kitchen, preparing weeks of meals at once using her army of ceramic cooking pots that would transform her into a meal planning genius. After attempting to operate multiple slow cookers simultaneously, she discovered that her kitchen electrical system couldn't handle 89 appliances running at once, and that coordinating multiple cooking times was more complicated than preparing meals normally. She kept 3 slow cookers and donated the rest, realizing that cooking efficiency isn't improved by owning excessive quantities of identical appliances. 12. A couple purchased 34 artificial Christmas trees, marked down 90% in November, because they thought discounted holiday decorations were smart investments that would save them money for decades of future celebrations. They stored the trees in their basement, garage, and spare bedroom, convinced that they had solved their Christmas decoration needs forever, while helping friends and family members who would appreciate receiving free artificial trees. When December arrived, they discovered that assembling and decorating 34 Christmas trees turned their house into a forest that was impossible to navigate, and that most people preferred selecting their own holiday decorations rather than receiving someone else's bulk purchases. They used 2 trees and spent 3 years trying to give away the remaining 32, learning that holiday decorations are personal choices that can't be efficiently distributed to others. 13. One woman bought 127 hairdryers marked down from $60 to $8 each because she calculated that professional styling tools were expensive gifts that friends would appreciate receiving, and that hairdryers were practical appliances with universal appeal that made them perfect for birthday and holiday presents. She imagined becoming known as the generous friend who gave useful gifts while saving hundreds of dollars on present purchases for the next several years. After giving hairdryers to everyone she knew and discovering that most people already owned perfectly functional styling tools, she realized that practical gifts aren't always appreciated, and that receiving hairdryers made people feel like the gift giver thought they needed better hair care. She returned 78 unopened hairdryers and learned that gift giving requires understanding what people actually want, rather than what seems practical. 14. A man purchased 67 Bluetooth speakers because they were 85% off, and he thought wireless audio devices were technology investments that would become more valuable as people increasingly needed portable sound systems for work and entertainment purposes. He envisioned creating a speaker rental business or giving high-tech gifts that would make him appear generous and tech-savvy to friends and family members who would appreciate receiving modern electronic devices. After discovering that Bluetooth speakers have limited battery life, varying sound quality, and that people are particular about their audio preferences, he realized that technology gifts require matching recipients with appropriate devices rather than assuming everyone wants the same electronic products. He kept 5 speakers for his own use and sold the rest at electronics recycling events, learning that technology investing requires understanding device specifications and market demand. 15. One shopper bought 200 umbrellas marked down to $4 each because she reasoned that umbrellas were consumable items that people constantly lose or break, making them perfect for keeping in cars, offices, and bags while having extras available for lending to friends during unexpected weather events. She distributed umbrellas throughout her house and car, convinced that she had solved the universal problem of never having an umbrella when needed, while creating opportunities to be helpful during rainstorms. After accumulating umbrellas in every possible location, and discovering that she still somehow managed to be caught without rain protection when actually needed, she realized that umbrella preparedness was more about remembering to carry them than owning large quantities. She donated most of the umbrellas to schools and homeless shelters, finally finding a use for her weather protection stockpile. 16. A couple purchased 45 camping tents marked down 70% because they thought outdoor equipment was versatile gear that could be used for camping trips, emergency preparedness, and children's backyard adventures that would encourage family outdoor activities and provide security during natural disasters. They stored tents in their basement and garage, imagining themselves becoming outdoorsy people who would frequently use camping equipment while being prepared for emergencies that might require temporary shelter solutions. After setting up one tent in their backyard and discovering that camping required skills, planning, and tolerance for discomfort that they didn't possess, they realized that owning outdoor equipment didn't automatically create outdoor enthusiasm. They kept 2 tents for genuine emergencies and donated the rest to scout organizations, learning that gear purchases don't transform personalities or create new hobbies. 17. One woman bought 156 coffee makers in various sizes because they were marked down to $15 each, and she thought coffee brewing devices were practical gifts that working professionals would appreciate receiving, since everyone drinks coffee and needs reliable morning caffeine preparation equipment. She imagined giving coffee makers as housewarming gifts, graduation presents, and holiday gifts that would be useful rather than decorative, solving her gift-giving needs for years while helping people improve their morning routines. After giving coffee makers to colleagues and discovering that most people had strong preferences about their coffee brewing methods and already owned equipment they liked, she realized that practical gifts often duplicate items people already have. She returned most of the unopened coffee makers and learned that useful gifts require knowing what people actually need rather than what seems universally practical. 18. A man purchased 78 desk lamps because they were 80% off, and he calculated that lighting fixtures were home improvement investments that would increase property values while providing practical illumination solutions for reading, working, and general household lighting needs. He installed lamps throughout his house, creating elaborate lighting schemes that he thought would make his home more attractive to potential buyers, while improving his own living environment through better illumination. After discovering that excessive lighting made his house look like an office building, and that electricity costs increased significantly with dozens of additional fixtures, he realized that home improvement requires design sense, rather than just adding more of everything. He removed most of the lamps and learned that decorating involves balance and planning, rather than accumulating large quantities of home accessories. 19. One shopper bought 89 backpacks marked down from $50 to $12 each because she thought bags were practical items that students and travelers constantly need, making them perfect for donation to schools while keeping extras for family members who might require luggage for trips or school supplies. She filled her closet with backpacks in various colors and sizes, convinced that she had created a personal bag store that would meet everyone's carrying needs for years while supporting local schools through charitable donations. After donating 60 backpacks to schools and discovering that educational institutions have specific requirements for student supplies and prefer monetary donations over product donations, she realized that charitable giving requires coordination with recipient organizations. She kept 10 backpacks for family use and learned that good intentions require understanding what charities actually need. 20. A couple purchased 34 vacuum cleaners marked down 75% because they calculated that cleaning appliances were household necessities that would eventually need replacement, and that buying multiple units would provide backup equipment while potentially creating opportunities to resell cleaning equipment to neighbors and friends. They stored vacuum cleaners in their basement and garage, imagining themselves becoming appliance entrepreneurs while ensuring they would never be without functional cleaning equipment for their own household maintenance needs. After attempting to sell vacuum cleaners online and discovering that people prefer buying cleaning equipment from established retailers rather than individuals, they realized that appliance resale requires business licenses and warranties that they couldn't provide. They kept 2 vacuum cleaners and donated the rest, learning that household appliance investing isn't a viable business strategy for amateurs. 21. One woman bought 123 phone chargers because they were marked down to $3 each, and she reasoned that charging cables were items that people constantly lose or break, making them perfect for keeping in cars, offices, purses, and travel bags, while having extras available for lending to friends with dead phone batteries. She distributed chargers throughout her house, car, and workplace, convinced that she had solved the universal problem of phone battery anxiety while creating opportunities to be helpful when others needed power connections. After accumulating chargers in every possible location and discovering that different phones require different charging cables, she realized that phone accessories are device-specific, and that having generic chargers doesn't solve compatibility problems. She kept chargers that matched her devices and gave away the rest, learning that technology accessories require matching specific equipment rather than assuming universal compatibility. 22. A man purchased 67 toolboxes marked down 80% because he thought tool storage was essential for home maintenance, and that having multiple toolboxes would allow him to organize different types of equipment while keeping tools available in various locations throughout his house and garage. He arranged toolboxes throughout his property, imagining himself becoming a well-organized handyman who could efficiently tackle home improvement projects using professionally organized tool systems that would make repairs and maintenance more efficient. After filling the toolboxes with tools and discovering that he still didn't possess the skills or knowledge necessary for most home improvement projects, he realized that organization doesn't create competence, and that tool storage doesn't automatically generate handyman abilities. He consolidated his tools into 2 boxes and donated the rest, learning that equipment doesn't substitute for expertise. 23. One shopper bought 145 picture albums because they were 90% off, and she thought photo storage products were essential for organizing family memories that were currently stored digitally on computers and phones, requiring physical albums for proper preservation and display. She envisioned creating elaborate family history projects, organizing decades of photos into beautiful albums that would preserve memories for future generations, while creating meaningful displays that would make her home more personal and welcoming. After purchasing the albums and realizing that printing hundreds of photos would cost more than the albums themselves, and that digital photo organization was actually more practical than physical albums, she discovered that photo storage needs had changed with technology. She used 5 albums for special occasions and donated the rest, learning that storage solutions should match current needs rather than outdated organization methods. 24. A couple purchased 56 electric blankets marked down from $80 to $20 each because they calculated that heated bedding would reduce their heating costs during winter while providing comfortable sleeping solutions that could be given as gifts to family members who would appreciate warm bedding during cold weather. They distributed electric blankets throughout their house and to relatives, convinced that heated bedding was a practical solution to winter comfort that would save money on utility bills while showing thoughtfulness to friends and family. After using multiple electric blankets and discovering that their electricity costs increased more than their heating savings, and that most people already had preferred bedding arrangements, they realized that comfort solutions are personal preferences that can't be efficiently distributed to others. They kept 4 blankets and returned the rest, learning that energy-saving strategies require calculating actual costs rather than assuming savings. 25. One woman bought 234 kitchen utensils marked down 85% because she thought cooking tools were practical gifts that anyone who prepared food would appreciate receiving, and that having extensive kitchen equipment would improve her own cooking abilities while providing presents for housewarming parties and holiday giving. She filled her kitchen drawers and cabinets with duplicate utensils, imagining herself becoming a cooking expert who could efficiently prepare meals using professional quality tools while giving useful gifts that would help others improve their culinary skills. After attempting to use dozens of specialized utensils and discovering that most cooking tasks require only basic tools, and that giving kitchen equipment implied that recipients needed better cooking tools, she realized that culinary expertise comes from practice rather than equipment quantity. She kept essential utensils and donated the rest, learning that cooking improvement requires developing skills rather than accumulating tools. 26. A man purchased 89 car air fresheners because they were marked down to 50 cents each, and he calculated that automotive accessories were consumable items that would eventually be used while providing opportunities to keep extras in cars, give to friends with vehicles, and maintain fresh-smelling transportation for years without purchasing air fresheners at regular prices. He distributed air fresheners throughout his vehicles and garage, convinced that he had solved his automotive scent needs permanently while creating opportunities to help friends maintain pleasant car environments. After discovering that too many air fresheners created overwhelming artificial scents, and that most people have specific preferences about automotive fragrances, he realized that scent preferences are personal choices that can't be efficiently shared with others. He kept a reasonable supply and gave away the rest, learning that consumable items should be purchased based on actual usage rates rather than discount pricing. 27. One shopper bought 78 desk organizers because they were 75% off, and she thought office accessories were productivity investments that would improve work efficiency while providing gifts for colleagues who would appreciate receiving organizational tools that would help them maintain neater workspaces and more efficient work habits. She arranged organizers throughout her home office and workplace, imagining herself becoming perfectly organized while giving thoughtful gifts that would help others improve their professional productivity through better workspace organization systems. After filling organizers with office supplies and discovering that organization systems require maintenance and that giving organizational gifts implied that recipients were disorganized, she realized that productivity comes from habits rather than accessories. She kept organizers that matched her actual needs and donated the rest, learning that efficiency requires developing systems rather than accumulating organizational products. 28. A couple purchased 45 exercise mats marked down 80% because they thought fitness equipment was health investments that would encourage family exercise while providing yoga and workout surfaces that could be used for home fitness routines that would eliminate expensive gym memberships. They distributed mats throughout their house, imagining themselves becoming active people who would regularly exercise at home using professional quality fitness equipment that would transform their health and fitness levels through convenient home workout options. After attempting home exercise routines and discovering that fitness motivation comes from habits and goals rather than equipment availability, they realized that owning exercise gear doesn't automatically create exercise enthusiasm. They kept 2 mats for occasional use and donated the rest, learning that fitness requires commitment rather than accumulating workout accessories. 29. One woman bought 167 scented candles because they were marked down to $2 each, and she thought aromatherapy products were home atmosphere investments that would create relaxing environments while providing gifts for friends who would appreciate receiving luxury items that would improve their home ambiance and stress reduction. She placed candles throughout her house, convinced that she had created a spa-like environment, while accumulating gifts that would make her appear thoughtful and generous to friends who would appreciate receiving relaxation products. After burning multiple candles simultaneously and discovering that too many scents created overwhelming artificial fragrances, and that most people have specific preferences about home scents, she realized that atmosphere creation requires balance rather than quantity. She kept candles she actually enjoyed and gave away the rest, learning that ambiance is personal preference rather than accumulation of scented products. 30. A man purchased 93 phone cases because they were 85% off, and he calculated that device protection was essential for expensive electronics, while providing opportunities to change phone appearance frequently and give practical gifts to friends and family members who owned smartphones requiring protective accessories. He accumulated phone cases in various colors and styles, imagining himself having fashionable device protection while being able to give useful gifts that would help others protect their expensive electronic devices from damage and wear. After discovering that phone cases are device-specific and that most people already had preferred protection systems, he realized that accessories require matching specific devices rather than assuming universal compatibility. He kept cases that fit his devices and donated the rest, learning that electronic accessories are technical purchases rather than general gifts. 31. One shopper bought 145 storage containers because they were 70% off, and she thought organizational products were home improvement investments that would help her declutter and organize her living space while providing storage solutions that would make her home more efficient and aesthetically pleasing. She filled closets and rooms with empty containers, convinced that having abundant storage would motivate her to organize possessions that were currently cluttered throughout her house in inefficient arrangements that made cleaning and organizing difficult. After acquiring containers and discovering that organization requires sorting and decision-making, rather than just having storage options available, she realized that containers don't automatically create organizational motivation or skills. She used containers that matched her actual storage needs and donated the rest, learning that organization requires systems and habits rather than accumulating storage products. 32. A couple purchased 67 board games marked down 75% because they thought entertainment products were family investments that would encourage game nights and social activities, while providing gifts for families with children who would appreciate receiving educational and entertaining activities that would promote family bonding. They filled closets with games in various categories, imagining themselves becoming game-playing people who would regularly host entertainment evenings while giving meaningful gifts that would help other families create positive shared experiences through board game activities. After attempting family game nights and discovering that game preferences are specific to age groups and interests, and that most people already had preferred entertainment options, they realized that entertainment gifts require matching recipients with appropriate activities. They kept games their family actually enjoyed and donated the rest, learning that recreational activities are personal preferences rather than universal interests. 33. One woman bought 89 coffee mugs because they were marked down to $3 each, and she thought drinkware was practical household items that guests would need, while providing opportunities to give useful gifts that anyone who drank hot beverages would appreciate receiving. She filled cabinets with mugs in various designs, convinced that she had solved her entertaining needs while accumulating gifts that would be practical and appreciated by friends who would use coffee mugs regularly for their daily beverage consumption. After accumulating dozens of mugs and discovering that most people have strong preferences about their drinking vessels, and that giving mugs implied that recipients needed better drinkware, she realized that household items are personal choices rather than universal needs. She kept mugs she actually used and donated the rest, learning that practical gifts often duplicate items people already own and prefer. 34. A man purchased 78 flashlights because they were 80% off, and he calculated that emergency lighting was essential for power outages while providing practical tools that could be distributed throughout vehicles, workplace, and home locations to ensure illumination availability during unexpected situations requiring portable lighting solutions. He placed flashlights throughout his property, imagining himself being prepared for emergencies while giving practical gifts that would help others maintain safety during power outages or situations requiring portable illumination equipment. After accumulating flashlights and discovering that most required batteries that weren't included, and that people already had preferred emergency lighting solutions, he realized that emergency preparedness requires planning and maintenance rather than just accumulating equipment. He kept flashlights for genuine emergency use and donated the rest, learning that preparedness involves systems rather than accumulating safety equipment. 35. One shopper bought 156 desk calendars because they were 90% off, and she thought planning products were productivity investments that would improve time management while providing useful gifts for colleagues and friends who would appreciate receiving organizational tools that would help them stay organized and manage their schedules more effectively. She distributed calendars throughout her home and office, convinced that having abundant planning tools would improve her organization, while giving thoughtful gifts that would help others develop better time management skills through visual schedule tracking. After attempting to use multiple calendars and discovering that digital planning tools were more practical than paper calendars, and that most people already had preferred planning systems, she realized that productivity tools are personal preferences rather than universal solutions. She kept one calendar and donated the rest, learning that organization requires habits rather than accumulating planning products. 36. A couple purchased 45 electric kettles marked down from $60 to $15 each, because they calculated that hot water appliances were kitchen essentials that would speed up cooking while providing practical gifts for friends who would appreciate receiving efficient beverage and cooking preparation tools that would improve their kitchen functionality. They placed kettles throughout their kitchen and stored extras for gift giving, imagining themselves having perfectly equipped cooking facilities while giving useful appliances that would help others improve their food and beverage preparation efficiency through faster hot water production. After using multiple kettles and discovering that most kitchens only need one hot water appliance and that people have specific preferences about their kitchen equipment, they realized that appliance gifts often duplicate existing items. They kept 2 kettles and returned the rest, learning that kitchen efficiency comes from using appropriate tools rather than accumulating multiple appliances. 37. One woman bought 123 throw pillows because they were 85% off, and she thought decorative accessories were home improvement investments that would allow her to change her interior decorating frequently, while providing attractive gifts for friends who would appreciate receiving home decor items that would improve their living spaces. She filled rooms with pillows in various colors and patterns, convinced that she had created flexible decorating options while accumulating gifts that would help others improve their home aesthetics through attractive accent pieces. After arranging dozens of pillows and discovering that too many decorative items made rooms look cluttered rather than stylish, and that home decor preferences are highly personal, she realized that interior decorating requires design sense rather than accumulating accessories. She kept pillows that matched her actual decor and donated the rest, learning that home improvement involves planned design rather than accumulating decorative items. 38. A man purchased 67 car phone mounts because they were marked down 90%, and he thought automotive accessories were safety investments that would improve driving while providing practical gifts for friends, with vehicles who would appreciate receiving hands-free phone solutions that would make their driving safer and more convenient. He installed mounts in his vehicles and accumulated extras for gift giving, convinced that he had improved his driving safety while helping others use their phones more safely during transportation through proper mounting equipment. After installing multiple mounts and discovering that phone mounting preferences are specific to individual vehicles and phone types, he realized that automotive accessories require matching specific equipment rather than assuming universal compatibility. He kept mounts that worked with his devices and gave away the rest, learning that safety equipment must match specific vehicles and devices to be functional. 39. One shopper bought 234 pens because they were marked down to 25 cents each, and she calculated that writing instruments were office essentials that would eventually be used while providing opportunities to have writing tools available throughout her home, car, and workplace, while giving practical gifts that students and professionals would appreciate. She distributed pens throughout her life, convinced that she had solved the universal problem of never having a pen when needed, while creating opportunities to give useful gifts that anyone who wrote things would appreciate receiving. After accumulating pens everywhere and discovering that most people have specific preferences about their writing instruments and that giving pens was not particularly meaningful or appreciated, she realized that office supplies are personal preferences rather than universal needs. She kept pens she actually preferred and donated the rest, learning that practical gifts should match specific needs rather than assuming universal utility. 40. A couple purchased 56 kitchen timers because they were 75% off and they thought cooking accessories were culinary investments that would improve their meal preparation while providing useful gifts for friends who cooked and would appreciate receiving timing tools that would help them prepare better meals through improved cooking time management. They placed timers throughout their kitchen, imagining themselves becoming organized cooks who would efficiently manage multiple cooking tasks while giving practical gifts that would help others improve their culinary timing and meal preparation skills. After using multiple timers and discovering that most cooking tasks require only basic timing tools, and that smartphone timers were more convenient than dedicated devices, they realized that cooking efficiency comes from skills rather than accumulating specialized equipment. They kept 2 timers and donated the rest, learning that culinary improvement requires practice rather than accumulating cooking accessories. 41. One woman bought 89 reusable water bottles because they were marked down 80%, and she thought hydration products were health investments that would encourage better drinking habits while providing environmentally friendly gifts that health-conscious friends would appreciate receiving as alternatives to disposable plastic bottles. She filled cabinets with bottles in various sizes and designs, convinced that having abundant hydration options would improve her water consumption while giving meaningful gifts that would help others maintain better health through improved hydration habits and environmental consciousness. After accumulating dozens of bottles and discovering that most people already had preferred hydration systems, and that giving water bottles implied that recipients needed better drinking habits, she realized that health products are personal choices rather than universal improvements. She kept bottles she actually used and donated the rest, learning that wellness gifts should match individual preferences rather than assuming universal health needs. 42. A man purchased 78 extension cords because they were 85% off, and he calculated that electrical accessories were household necessities that would provide power solutions throughout his home, while offering practical gifts for homeowners who would appreciate receiving electrical tools that would improve their power accessibility and home functionality. He distributed extension cords throughout his house, convinced that he had solved power accessibility problems while accumulating gifts that would help others improve their electrical convenience through better power distribution options. After installing multiple extension cords and discovering that electrical safety requires proper planning and that most people already had adequate power solutions, he realized that electrical accessories require understanding safety requirements rather than just accumulating power distribution tools. He kept cords for legitimate electrical needs and donated the rest, learning that electrical improvements require planning rather than accumulating extension cords. 43. One shopper bought 145 notebooks because they were 90% off, and she thought writing products were educational investments that would encourage journaling and note-taking while providing useful gifts for students and professionals who would appreciate receiving quality paper products for their writing and organizational needs. She filled closets with notebooks in various sizes and styles, convinced that having abundant writing surfaces would motivate her to develop better note-taking habits while giving practical gifts that would help others improve their organization and communication skills through better writing practices. After accumulating notebooks and discovering that digital note-taking was more practical than paper systems, and that most people already had preferred writing tools, she realized that educational products don't automatically create learning motivation. She kept notebooks for occasional use and donated the rest, learning that productivity requires habits rather than accumulating writing supplies. 44. A couple purchased 67 alarm clocks because they were marked down 75%, and they thought time management products were productivity investments that would improve their morning routines while providing practical gifts for young adults who would appreciate receiving reliable wake-up tools that would help them maintain better schedules and time management habits. They placed clocks throughout their house, imagining themselves never oversleeping while giving useful gifts that would help others develop better time management through reliable alarm systems that would improve their daily schedules and professional punctuality. After setting up multiple alarms and discovering that smartphone alarms were more reliable and convenient than dedicated alarm clocks, they realized that time management tools are personal preferences rather than universal solutions. They kept one backup alarm clock and donated the rest, learning that productivity comes from habits rather than accumulating time management devices. 45. And finally, one woman bought 456 holiday ornaments, marked down 95% in November, because she calculated that Christmas decorations were seasonal investments that would provide years of holiday decorating while offering beautiful gifts for friends who would appreciate receiving festive items that would improve their holiday celebrations and home decorating during Christmas seasons. She filled her basement and garage with boxes of ornaments in every possible design, convinced that she had solved her holiday decorating needs forever, while accumulating gifts that would make her appear generous and thoughtful during Christmas gift exchanges. After storing ornaments for a year and discovering that holiday decorating preferences are highly personal and that most people prefer selecting their own seasonal decorations rather than receiving someone else's ornament choices, she realized that holiday gifts should match individual decorating styles rather than assuming universal appreciation. She used ornaments that matched her actual decorating preferences and spent several years giving away the rest as gifts that were politely accepted but rarely used, learning that seasonal items are personal choices rather than universal holiday improvements. Here's the truth about Black Friday shopping. When everything is on sale, nothing is actually a good deal if you don't need it. These shoppers proved that the biggest discount in the world can't make a stupid purchase smart. The real Black Friday lesson? Sometimes the best deal is walking away empty-handed. Subscribe if you want more proof that saving money and spending money are completely different skills.